Hello there, you mighty fine looking person you. This is Chris from TechSpert and I'm here with the Flydigi Wasp 2. It's a Flydigi, a Chinese company who specialise in game controllers, game pads, things like that for your smartphone. I've tested out a few of their previous products, such as the last generation, the Wasp N gamepads, and now we've got the Wasp 2, which sports a number of upgrades and updates. It's going to get fully unboxed now, tested out with the likes of PubG Mobile, see if it's any good, and then deliver my full verdict. So one of the first big updates with the Wasp 2 compared with the previous generation is the fact that it now supports iPhone as well as Android. As you can see from the old Wasp N, you had to get specific versions for your smartphones. This one was the iPhone 6 to 8 Plus, but now touchwood should work with any iPhone and Android handset that actually fits in it. It's making quite a scary rattling noise when I'm moving it about. Hopefully everything's arrived in one piece. Okay, so let's pull it open. So, first of all, you get a nice little carry case with it. Before you just got a carry cloth thing, now you do actually get a proper rugged solid body carry case. That's quite a nice little addition. Let's peel this bad boy open. And there is the new Wasp 2. Just tucked away nicely in there. We'll give it a full explore in a second, just check what else you get in the box. So you get a nice bit of instruction booklet action, and it's actually in English as well, thank God, because the last one that arrived was all in Chinese. I had absolutely no idea what any of it meant, which is really helpful. And a mystery pouch as well, always exciting. And in here, it looks like you get a charging cable to actually power up the Flydigi. It's good to see that it's a good bit of Type-C USB action here on the Wasp 2, none of that micro USB nonsense, so you'll be able to use your phone charger to power it back up as well. And of course, the Wasp does have its own independent power source, so you'll need to make sure you keep it charged up as well as your phone. That's because, of course, it mimics the touch of your fingers on the smartphone screen. Now, as you can see, the overall structure of the Wasp 2 remains very similar to the older Wasp Ns. You once again have a thumbstick, 2 push buttons, you've got your Flydigi button there as well. And then up top, of course, you've got your 2 triggers as well. But everything's just designed a bit more ergonomically, feels just a little bit more premium, of course, and it looks quite nice as well. It's a bit more compact than the older model as well. And one of the upgrades here on the Wasp 2 is the fact that you actually get interchangeable thumbsticks. You can pull out the old one, stick in a new one if you like, and the two that you get bundled are very subtly different. So there's quite a subtle difference. As you can see with this thumbstick, the surface just curves upwards quite neatly, whereas the other thumbstick you get bundled that actually curves inwards instead. So you can basically just go with whichever one you prefer. And of course, the design of the old Flydigi Wasp N as well was quite flat and quite uninspired overall. It just felt like you were holding a really chunky smartphone basically, but at least the new Wasp 2, it's got this more ergonomic design. As you can see, it actually curves outwards, more like a traditional joypad that you would have from a console, something like that. It's got a nice big fat trigger right there, and it feels really, really good actually when you're clutching it. So hopefully it should prove nice and comfortable. Great news if you're going to be PUBGing it for 5-6 hours at a time. And one of the other new features here on the Wasp 2 as well, which I'm really intrigued to test out, is the fact that you've now got this removable metal back button as well, which just kind of clips in there. So as you can see there, that almost operates like a third trigger separate from your other trigger finger. Very interesting. So first up, we actually need to connect the Wasp 2 to our smartphone via Bluetooth. So what you need to do is you need to power it up, which is just a case of flicking that little switch there. As you can see, that Flydigi logo is now flashing. I'll then go to pair new device on my OnePlus, and there you can see Flydigi Wasp 2 just pops up in there, nice and simple. Already connected, job done. And if you're wondering about the actual supported devices as well, no worries. Basically, if you've got a smartphone from the last 4 years, chances are it'll work absolutely fine. As you can see there, iPhone 5S and above with iOS 9.3 and above are supported. And as far as Android's concerned, anything with Android 6.0 and above and a bit Bluetooth 4 support as well, so no worries. Now it's time to actually shove our Android device into the Wasp 2. So all you need to do is just pull down on this little catch. As you can see, this doohickey pops out. That's the official terminology, obviously. Now we just shove the phone in like so, and then tighten this bad boy up. And there we have it. It seems to be holding it in there nice and firmly. Certainly doesn't seem to be showing any signs of dropping out, which is always handy. But then of course these are designed to be holding them like so anyway, so it's not like you'd be letting go of the smartphone while you're playing. Now first up, if you're an iPhone user, then good news. Setting up the Flydigi Wasp 2 is a piece of cake. You basically just download the app from the App Store, follow some simple on-screen instructions, you're good to go. However, if you're an Android user, then it's a bit more complex. You actually have to enable developer mode on your Android phone, allow for USB debugging, and go through a few extra steps through the app. It is definitely a bit more complex. And after all of that setup shenanigans, I simply could not get the Wasp 2 to work with my Android phones. I tried both the Pixel 3a XL and the OnePlus 7 Pro, and basically they both ended in big fat failure. With PubG Mobile, the controls were completely unresponsive no matter how hard I tried to configure them in different ways via the actual in-game setup. Now who knows, perhaps I'm just a massive idiot, but I could not get it to work no matter what I tried, and I definitely needed several stiff whiskeys after spending a couple of hours battling with that thing. Now, whereas on Android you actually configure the button setup in-game, with iOS you configure the buttons before you start the game. The mapping is very in-depth, allowing you to set up the likes of button combinations and even choose between single and auto fire for each one. But despite this complexity, it is pretty intuitive, and there is a built-in help system if you do get stuck. Once I'd set up everything the way I wanted on my iPhone XR, I jumped straight into a game of PubG Mobile, and the Wasp 2 worked perfectly. First up, those buttons are perfectly responsive. There's absolutely no delay whatsoever between pushing them and seeing your actions replicated on screen. And each thumbstick also behaved completely as expected. They are nice and smooth, no issues with sticking or anything like that. One of the best changes for the Wasp 2 compared with the last generation is that rear trigger. The A and B buttons are a little bit awkward to push in the heat of battle, as you have to actually take your thumb off the stick, so obviously that kind of limits what you can use them for. But the M trigger on the back there falls naturally under your middle finger, and it works a charm. As with the previous Wasp controller, I found that combination of physical and touchscreen controls is definitely very well suited to PubG Mobile. I can be as precise as I need while staying very mobile, so running or strafing and gunning at the same time is an absolute breeze. It's definitely a big step up from using no controller at all. And I also love the more natural grip thanks to that new console gamepad style curvature on the back as well. It just feels really nice in the hand. It means that even if you're playing for extended sessions, your hand doesn't get all sort of cramped up or anything like that. It feels really good and comfy. So early verdict with Wasp 2 is if you're an iPhone user, it's absolutely fantastic for the likes of PubG Mobile. Definitely gives you an edge over the competition. Nice and easy to set up and just works straight out of the box basically. If you're an Android user, of course, a much more complex setup process, and I simply could not get it to work. So I'll keep on battling with it, see if I can actually get some success, but be warned, it ain't exactly a simple setup procedure. Now, do you have your own preferred controller for the likes of PubG Mobile, Fortnite and other online blasters? Definitely let us know in the comments down below, and please do poke, subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech. Cheers everyone, love you!